So, we're talking about benefits versus liabilities today. Benefits versus liabilities when it comes to, any decision in life. But the focus today is on, of course, the dating and relationship vein, only because it's one of the, if not the most important decision that you'll make in your life, and therefore the trickle-down effect can really kind of make or break you when it comes to life in general, which is why I talk about it so much. And a lot of it is to kind of counter a lot of the commentary that is surrounding it, especially for women, because we get told a lot of messages that have to deal with our worth and how it's tied to whether or not we're partnered. That's how women are kind of brought up versus men. And so what happens is there's this kind of hamster wheel of prioritizing and panicking and kind of putting way too much focus on partnering when we really should be focusing on making sure that we are being purposeful in how we live and kind of navigate, and making sure that we're intentional about what we do as well. What we do actually matters. How we move about the world matters, right? And so, like I said, benefits versus liabilities. Now, I've said this before. Men have a tendency to get their or they have a tendency to strive to get their needs met first, versus women, who we have a tendency to get everyone else's needs met first. And what I mean by that is, particularly when it comes to dating, men, and this is kind of a nature related thing. So women, you're not stupid, you're not crazy. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, women are stupid." No, it's just your nature. But also that this is why it's important to know your nature and know men's nature, because you'll be really confused out here as to what's going on, right? It's really important to understand that men think differently than women. In fact, just take any person in general, they're going to think differently than the next person. But of course, we're talking about men and women here, and this is particularly true for us compared to men. And so when it comes to dating, men are very straightforward when it comes to excuse me, my allergies, y'all, and I didn't take my Claritin today. Tragic. But as I was saying, men are very they have a tendency to be more straightforward in what they want in terms of dating. They're very in the moment. They see someone they like, they categorize where she falls, and what their desired plans for her are, and then they just stick to it. And this is also why, and I've spoken on this before, why sometimes they'll ghost, or sometimes they'll be hot and cold and things like that. That pretty much just means that, they have categorized you for a certain purpose, and it's not for anything long-term or serious, and that's probably why that's happening. And this also, and a lot of times too, because men do, they are conditioned, and there's science behind it too, but they're conditioned for sex, money, power, that sort of thing. Versus women, we're conditioned to wanting long-term relationships and whatnot, and things in that. It there's a lot more to it. This is a very simplified version of it for the sake of this video. But anyway, they are really good at assessing what benefits they are able to get out of the women in their life, versus the liabilities. And what that means is there are varying degrees of there are varying degrees of uses, and I hate to use the word usage for you, but it's true. And it's why too that you can't just simply go by, oh, but he seems to like me. Yes, he could very well like you. In fact, for the most part, if they want to keep you around, they do have to like you to an extent, but they don't like you enough to commit or kind of stay long term. And this is it can even go beyond sex too. Some men may just see you as the one who they could always talk to, the one that they can always have fun with, things of that nature. And so if the benefits outweigh the liabilities, the pros outweigh the cons at this time, they're probably going to keep you around. Where the tides kind of start to turn is where a lot of context is kind of taken into account. And that happens after time, especially if they're being really vague about their intentions. After a certain amount of time, they're going to have to answer to, this is if they're being vague. Some of them just come out and say, yeah, I don't want anything serious. But this is for, in particular, the more vague ones. What happens is they know that it's like, oh, okay, I'm kind of building this situation here. What do I do about it? And then that's where you get kind of, ever had someone be hot and cold, ghosts, things like that. That's one of the reasons why that kind of happens. So benefits versus liabilities. And for us women, it's very important. This is why it's so important to know yourself and understand your needs, understand your wants, understand your desires. Because there isn't anything wrong per se about being clear and understanding your needs, and seeing, and actually differentiating that in people. In and of itself, that's not a bad thing per se. But what happens is if you don't take the time to really get acquainted with yourself, what happens is when you're not clear on those things that would benefit you versus be liabilities for you, you end up confused, you end up hurt, you end up questioning what actually happened here, and you end up wasting your time, which is the biggest one, because you can't get time back. I've said this before, I don't believe there's such a thing as thwarting God's plans for you. I do think that you'll always get to your destination. You can't, there's no way around that. It will happen, but you can make the road a lot bumpier. You can make it a lot harder for yourself. You can take detours that are just like, man, now this is one detour I did not anticipate taking because of, this not being self-aware about who you are as a person. Benefits and really understanding how benefits and liabilities work and where your needs lie. Now, this isn't to say that you should completely adopt male nature. There's a reason why people have, there is male nature, there's female nature, or men's nature, women's nature. I hate male and female. There's men's nature, there's women's nature, and navigating that space. But I do want to say, too, that just because something is your nature doesn't mean that you shouldn't understand it, or that you should just take it at face value, or just operate in your nature just blankly like, oh, this is just how I am. No, because there's other things that are nature too. It's my nature to eat as a human being. When I'm hungry, I am going to eat. What I'm not allowed to do is walk into what's a grocery store? I was just down south a week ago or so, and there's Publix there. I always get excited when I see a Publix that I like their cookies. But anyway, use that as an example. Just because it's my nature to eat doesn't mean I can walk into a Publix, grab a box of cookies, and walk out and say, well, it's my nature. Well, yeah, but there's a right and wrong way about navigating our nature. This goes for both men and women, because I know a lot of times women, we kind of, we get chastised for our nature quite a bit. It's like, why are you pining after that guy? Why are you? Well, that's just how we are. Men, not so much. They're kind of encouraged to kind of act out their nature, which again is not always, it's not a bad, their nature isn't a bad thing, but it's how we navigate it, and why we have to really be careful and really know ourselves and understand ourselves, and understand how they operate too, so we know what's happening when, you meet someone and he kind of seems into you, but not quite. I know for me, whenever that happens, in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably like number 5 on his list of like favorite women. I'm probably like 5 here, right? If he doesn't really seem that into me, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe this person, I could probably go on like a couple fun dates with them or something, but probably won't end up being anything too serious. That's how you end up being, when you really understand these things, this is how you end up being much more comfortable with rejection, how you become much more aware of what you desire and what other people desire, and how you understand that attention in and of itself is meaningless. Attention, anybody can get attention, but it's when you have someone who's intentional and pursuing, now that's a whole new ballgame, when you have those factors. But just attention in and of itself, I mean, feels nice for 30 seconds, but other than that, I kind of know what's up. It's like, this is the okie doke. Like, be someone I can talk to for a while, kind of do something fun, but that's probably it. They're not going to be in my life for that long. It makes you much more, and why I was saying in my last video, one of the reasons why I'm okay with being 35 and single, is because I know that choosing a person is actually quite a interesting process, intentional process, and it's because you're trying to weed out both who you would be beneficial for and someone who would be beneficial to you. That's actually something pretty major, because again, I'm pretty sure about what I'm supposed to be doing in life now. I'm very confident in my gifts and my goals and what I'm going to end up what I'm going to do with my life, and where my life is kind of going, and so it's like, oh, okay, this is something that I need to put quite a bit of thought into, more than just, oh, he's cute or anything, because cute will kill you real quick in a hurry, this isn't something that excuse me, allergies again. Need some water. Where's my water? I don't know, my water went. But this is where it really pays to truly understand how you tick and how other people tick, in terms of what all, beyond even what you're looking for, what they're looking for too. That really changes how you navigate. That's really what did it for me. I started being more, I felt myself becoming more confident last year, and I've said this before, and I could kind of feel an energy shift around a certain individual, because I was becoming more aware of who I was, more aware of who they were, and how people who truly are interested in you, how they really move. Like it's a different kind of vibe, it's a different energy, and it really changes how you kind of take in the world and experience the world. And it makes me, I'm a lot more calm and patient when it comes to the idea of partnering. And I almost went to a tangent, but I won't today. I'll save it for another day, so I don't go too much into story times. My brain be braining sometimes when I be getting on these here apps, but I'll save that for another day. I just wanted to kind of quickly go over, kind of the basics of how men think and how dating goes for them. That it's not, they don't see you and go, oh, I mean, some of them will, but it's a very small percentage of them, they see you and it's, fireworks and Disney. The majority of the time they see you and they're like, she's kind of cute. She got a nice booty. That's how they are, first and foremost. The ones who want to stay always know immediately, right? So if they're kind of in or out, you know, if they're kind of and it's been a while, yeah, you're temporary fixture in their lives. You may or may not get a straight answer about it. You know, a lot of times the reason why they're vague is because you can get away with a lot of things when you're able to evade clear answers about things. And I'll get into that some other time, how I navigate that space when it's like there's a lot of vagueness here, because when people want what they want, they're not going to be vague about it. And I've said this before. When people are clear about what they want, they always go after it. Beeline. There's no ifs. There's not maybe. No. You don't have to tell a person who really desires something or someone. You don't have to tell them to be specific about it. They will, because they'll come right in and just swoop it up as quickly as possible because they know that's what they want. Right. So hopefully that helps someone today. Benefits or assets or liabilities. Make sure you keep that in mind, both for yourself, so you know how to, really navigate the dating space, because I'm telling y'all, it's very, very, very important. Like I keep saying this, as a woman, especially growing up in the church, it was kind of like, get married by any means necessary. No. Do not do that. Do not do that. What you really need to do is assess who you are as a person, and then that's the trickle down that you use for, really choosing someone who adds to your life and someone that you add to their life as well, because it ain't all about you. A partnership is two people. It's two, which is important. They're important too. So yeah. And I'll try not to, I keep doing, y'all, I grew up in the church, so I do kind of, how preachers, it's kind of a running joke in the church, how preachers end their sermons sometimes. It sound like they're ending, then they get another idea, and then they keep going, and I feel myself kind of doing that sometimes. I grew up in the church, like I said, I grew up in the church, y'all. Come from a family of, long line of preachers and ministers and all that, so I'm pretty sure it's in my blood to just kind of keep on going. All right, so if you have any questions, or any, questions, comments, whatever, write them down below. I am a certified master abundant life coach, specializing in mindset, especially for women, and just kind of navigating our womanhood, as well as within that, navigating being single and dating for women. So that's kind of the vein I'm in. So hopefully you all were able to take something away from today's video. Like I was saying, my leaving any questions, comments, all that below. Also, my links are below. My IG, I am Bliss Alexandria, is below. And you all have a great morning, afternoon, evening, midnight, whatever time you're watching this. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. All right.